Hello, everybody. This is the Beef and the Deuce podcast. I am the Deuce. Got an interesting. We're talking power rankings for the NFL. We'll see how far that goes. That's a big, big topic. And we'll talk a little Buckeyes here in just a second. Beef, how's it going?
Just the life of a Dallas Cowboys fan. You currently know what is happening. So
Who's playing what team now?
the Giants, your favorite team.
Yeah, the team that just walloped the Brownies.
Yeah. So we're just hanging out here in MetLife Stadium, and
Yeah.
Giants are killing the time of possession, which really isn't giving us a bunch of time to do anything. But Dak's looking good. Defense is obviously a struggle, like it has been.
Yeah.
Outside of Week 1, but
They're struggling against the Giants too.
we just can't stop anything.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, they've had 4 field goals, which we've stopped them in in the red zone or whatever. But when it comes to like getting them off the field, we just can't get them off the field.
Yeah. Well, those Giants, everybody knows how good they are.
Yeah. The Brownies love them.
Oh, God. So anyway, let's get to some college in Ohio State. Anything new going into Michigan State that we haven't heard about?
Not too much. There's still some positive talk with Jeremiah Smith and his progression.
Yeah.
Will Howard and his progression into the offense has obviously been pretty positive.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the dual threat running attack is the best in the nation. We got to see that again last week.
Yeah.
I don't really think there's a close second to Travion and Quinshawn. So
a question I had for you and told you about it earlier is what do you need to see out of Ohio State now that we're starting the Big Ten Conference playing Michigan State that we haven't seen in the previous 3 games? And for me, I want to see some better pass rush. I want to see some more sacks. They have 8 sacks in 3 games against not good opponents. 2 interceptions, which is okay, I guess. And have that defense start better and at the beginning of the game. But really, the vaunted pass rush that we've been hearing so much about hasn't come around, has it?
No, and that was actually my biggest thing.
All right.
For going right in is, like you said, there's the lack of sack numbers.
Yeah.
And going with the opponents, like you said, they're to put it blunt, they're not worthy of being in the same stadium.
Right.
Now
right.
They're just fortunate enough to have the schedule to basically get paid a metric butt ton of money to get destroyed.
Yeah.
Which for their program, that money is massive.
It's very good for them, yeah.
But yeah, the lack of sack numbers. Now you got some QB pressures and hurries, and that's all fine and dandy.
But sacks are sacks, and
sacks look great on the stat sheet. And if this defense is supposed to be this, top tier defense, what's the first number that they're going to look at? They're going to look at sack numbers.
Yeah.
And turnovers, whether it's interceptions, fumbles, all of the above. And those sack numbers aren't really there.
No,
they're there, but they're not as much as you would.
8 in 3 games.
You would assume.
Yeah.
Now
maybe there's something they haven't shown us, and they're going to start pulling it out now.
And I'm sure that's similar with like the offense. Like Chip Kelly's probably only ran like a third of what he has. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's just kind of a warm up into the Big Ten season. But I mean, if we're answering the question, that would be the one thing I want to see. I want to see sack numbers. I want to see them just piling up one after another. And if that starts this weekend, perfect.
Right.
That's exactly what we want to see.
That's what we need.
But outside of that, like I don't really. I like what the secondary has been doing.
Yeah,
I like
kind
of what the linebacker core has been doing. It's just that that front 4, or if you want to say front 7 as a whole, just blitz the hell out of them. Let's see some sacks.
Yeah, we get
Michigan State's a little dangerous. I mean, they're not a terrible team, so you don't want to
right.
go, too off the rails. But
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that should be interesting. Do you know what the spread is on that game?
last I looked, it was in the 20s. Let me pull it
Okay.
up. It was like 23 and a half or something.
Okay.
Um,
You think Ohio State's
as
going to
my,
cover that?
oh, geez, I would hope so.
I would hope so.
I would hope so. As my uh, Dallas bets are coming up, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. So,
yeah, as of right now, it's 23 and a half.
okay. All right. I hope they cover that. So we have our prediction going into the game because he nailed it to the number last week. Robert, our good friend Robert, he sent in his prediction at 42-10. Florida Bob, who has dodged another hurricane bullet, although he got wet, he's at 49-17. My brother Andy, he is 37-17. I'm 48-13. And Beef, drumroll please, what's your number?
God, that's a lot of good numbers. That's really good.
Yeah.
I like a very high scoring Ohio State team.
Me too.
Especially going into Michigan State, huge night game for them. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna regret this. I'm gonna go high 56-10.
56-10?
I think they try to put a massive stamp on the Big Ten.
Do you think this 56 is going to be balanced between run and pass, or?
I think so. I think initially, I think it's gonna be similar to kind of last week.
Okay.
Kind of get that run game going.
Right.
And if Quinchon breaks another just massive run, I'm not going to be upset about it.
Yep.
But I think defense is going to come out, hopefully, like we were just talking about, just tally up the sacks, put a bunch of pressure on them, and just get up big early. And I think another couple touchdown game for Will Howard's probably in the making. And I'm probably a touchdown apiece with Quinchon and Travion. So, I mean, that right there is half the point total. So,
right.
We'll see where I get the other half. But
Yep. Okay. Interesting.
Let's get real confident here to open up the Big Ten schedule.
Let's knock some people around here.
That's what we want. That's what the fans want to see.
Yeah. Any predictions on the big game? Bama, Georgia.
I like Bama at home. I keep looking at it because I like doing my college bets on Fridays. I usually put myself in on Friday. And I like Bama at home. Just seeing Georgia play with Kentucky and kind of watching that game through the better, or I guess most of the second half, I wasn't impressed.
Okay.
And I think Bama's a hell of a lot better than Kentucky, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just going to come down to Bama defense and Georgia defense, I think.
Yeah.
I think the offenses are obviously great when they want to be.
Right.
But I think Jalen Milrose, the dude, from last year to this year, he looks like a completely different quarterback. It just looks I mean, you can sprinkle the word Heisman on it, especially if they beat Georgia. Oh, God. That's going to be all over them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this is Old DeBoer's first big game. So let's see how he does.
Yeah, I'm going with Bama. They're better than I thought they would be with the first-year coach and staff. It's Roll Tide.
That offense has definitely shocked the hell out of me early.
Really?
Yeah, and Milrose just been a 4+ touchdown machine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like every week. Literally, I think every week he's had 4+ touchdowns accounted for.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn impressive. So, yeah. Roll Tide. Let's see it.
Yeah, for them to continue on like that is very impressive. So, anything else in the college landscape?
Got a pretty decent Big Ten matchup we talked about before with Penn State, Illinois. Be
Yeah.
very curious to see kind of how that game goes.
Yeah.
The spread is massive, which is kind of surprising to me.
Is it
They got
Penn
it's
State?
it's in good old James Franklin land.
Okay.
But 17.5, I feel like, is a really big number for a top 20 matchup. Obviously Penn State's favorite. That's big.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely too sure if I like that spread. I'd probably take the points for Illinois to cover that. But yeah, that's a very ugly number.
Are you predicting Illinois to beat Penn State?
I think they lose, but I don't think they lose by
Less than,
18 plus.
like less than 7?
I could see that being close. I would say 7 to 10. Let's say that they lose. They probably lose 7 to 10 points.
Yeah.
I don't think 18 is very fair. But then again, it's not the easiest place to play when you go to Penn State, and it's a night game. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. If Illinois beats Penn State, then Bielema has to be coach of the year, right, in the Big Ten?
He would have to be considered for sure.
I mean,
and
he can do it.
That's a massive win.
That guy is good. He is good.
Well, they finally have a quarterback that can throw.
Yes, no doubt. No doubt.
It's been forever since they've had a capable quarterback to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you're seeing the repercussions from that.
Mm-hmm.
That will be a game that I will have on some screen somewhere in my living room.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of screens going on with the Bama game, obviously the Illinois Penn State game, and then our Buckeyes, of course.
Yeah. Even though Nebraska lost to Illinois, they're really good this year, don't you think? It was close.
It was a good game. It was a good game.
They really sucked in the overtime. I mean, they collapsed in overtime. Ooh.
Yeah. But it's good to see Illinois kind of back on track.
They could throw the ball too. Yeah.
It was definitely a game for what would have been a Friday night.
Yeah.
That's you're not mad about sitting on your couch on a Friday night watching that good of a football game.
And of course, we both predicted a low-scoring game, and of course, it wasn't. So.
Yeah, because we are great at what we do.
We have no clue. Anyway, that's the way it goes.
Vegas just takes our money, and they love doing it.
Oh yeah, I just got an open bank account with them. Got a wheelbarrow on steroids.
Yeah.
Here we go. Take it.
Yep, just take it and run. We get it.
Okay. So on to the pros, and it was a company that released their power rankings after 3 weeks, and it was interesting. Not sure I agree with it all, but some interesting statistics. So let's just do the top 10 for now. They've got the Bills, number 1, Chiefs, Lions, Steelers, Eagles, Packers, Vikings, Bucks. How many is that? 1, 2. Bucks. And then Texans, and then Saints. So that's their top 10 power rankings. What do you think about that?
There was a couple guys on our Twitter feed, which we appreciate the comments and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Who's a Vikings fan and mentioned that they've dominated a couple of these teams.
Yeah.
In the power rankings, yet they are 7, which doesn't make sense to me. Again, I agree with the argument that they should definitely be higher.
Yeah, they should definitely be higher than the Steelers.
So I don't know. I'm not too sure about that.
Well, I was looking. Because I had a lot to do on my plate today. I did at points for and points against for all 32 teams. Bills had 112 points that they've scored, and they've only given up 48. But they're not high on statistically on yardage and stuff. They're 13th highest in yards per game gained, and they're number 17 defense. So that's not great, but they're just scoring an enormous amount of points. And not getting up a lot.
Especially this last game. Jeez.
Yeah. Some of these games, some of them are skewed by the fact that there's some blowouts in here. Real blowouts.
Yes. Yep. Courtesy of the good old Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm sorry, Robert.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So the 112 is the highest points for with the Bills, and then the next one is number 10 Saints at 103. Then we got Pittsburgh, 51 points on offense, and they've given up an amazing only 26 points on defense, but still, their offense is number 24 in yards per game, ranked, but their defense is number 8. So
Yeah, their
why?
defense, you could argue, is
It's their
the
game.
best in the NFL.
Yeah. So is that why the Steelers are getting so much love right here?
That, I mean, being undefeated definitely helps.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But yeah, I would say it's their defense. Even going through the teams that are in this top 10, the Steelers' defense gives them a chance to, I know it's going to sound crazy, to beat most of these teams.
Yeah. But
if they could shut down some of these high-octane offenses and make it ugly, that's how the Steelers have won football games.
okay, I agree with you. Let's look at the Vikings. 85 points on offense. They've only given up 30 points.
So yeah, and that's probably the best defense right now. So I would say the Vikings are playing out of their mind.
But then the Vikings are in 6th or 7th place, and the Steelers are number 4. That doesn't make.
No.
And both are undefeated. So that's a disparity that I don't understand.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned those two because I would probably have the Vikings at 4.
Yeah.
Maybe even 3.
Okay. Well,
maybe even 3 as of right now.
Their defense is very impressive.
Yes. Which I don't think anybody expected Brian Flores to come out with.
Mm-hmm.
This style of defense, this aggressive, sack machine, turnover machine, you name it, they've done it.
So are you happy with Bills at number 1?
As of right now, yes. I did not expect the Bills to start off like this.
Just for the amount of points and stuff?
Yeah, just the amount of points is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And then watching them Monday night. Now, Jacksonville's not terribly impressive. I get that.
Right.
But they embarrassed them.
Yeah.
At an insane rate.
Mm-hmm.
If they can do that through most of the season, if not the rest of the season, who's going to stop them?
Yeah.
And their defense everything that they've lost in the secondary.
It's good. 48 points.
And they're still playing good defense.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts. Because going into the season, this is going to be, even me, I didn't think the Bills would be anywhere better than 7 to 8 wins due to their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But look at what they're doing.
So, okay, I got it. The Saints are listed number 10, 103 points and 44 on defense. That's impressive. They're 2-1. Why are they down at 10? Because they're new boys on the block as far as ratings go, or?
You look at the teams behind them. Like the Niners are 1 and 2, so you can't really do much with that.
Right.
You could almost argue the Jets at 10.
Yeah.
I think after week 1, it was kind of a fire under their ass, and they started to play better. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers is starting to come into his own. Breece Hall, who we've all known is going to come in and probably be a top 5 running back, if not one of the top 3. Mm-hmm. Garrett Wilson's obviously Garrett Wilson, who we've seen in multiple years here in the good old city of Columbus.
So the Jets.
But I don't know about the Saints at 10.
Yeah, it seems odd. And the 49ers at 11. At 1 and 2.
Because they're 1 and 2. Yeah. It's gross.
So, okay, 49ers at 11. They have the 3rd rated offense and the 6th rated defense, and they're 1 and 2. And they're 73 and 69. Something's wrong here. Is it just injuries or?
Oh, yeah. To put it blunt, it's the lack of CMC, who Nobody knows when he's going to be back.
Right.
Luckily for them, Jordan Mason's been a phenomenal backup.
Mm-hmm.
George Kittle was out last week. Debo's out for probably a second week.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Ayuk didn't go through any preseason, so he's still trying to get into, regular season shape.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of games the Niners have lost, they've just blown it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's their downfall right now is towards the end of the games, they are just blowing the games, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
a missed pass or just defense didn't come to play in the last series. I mean, they blew the game with the Rams. The Rams shouldn't have won that game.
Right.
And they did.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on paper, do you look at the Niners and be like, yeah, this is a good team? Of course you would.
Mm-hmm.
But 1-2 does not look good.
I would definitely put the Jets over the Niners. I mean, definitely.
As of right now, yes.
Absolutely.
If you're going off current power rankings, yes.
Yeah. Jets have the 18th offense and the number 1 rated defense, so that's interesting. Talk to me about the Buccaneers. They're 2-1. They're in 8th place, but they're 64-62 as far as points go. That's like even.
Mm-hmm.
And their offense is rated 26, and their defense is rated 22. And how do they get this kind of love? Just because they're 2-1 and that's it?
I think a lot of that is the record. I think them beating the Lions helped.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's always going to come down to the running game of Tampa, which has kind of been non-existent. They've just been passing the hell out of the ball, which for Bake, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But you also need to establish some sort of running game to chew clock, to obviously limit the opportunities that you give the opposing team.
Mm-hmm.
And the running game hasn't really been great. And their defense, I mean, for as long as I can remember, Tampa's defense, especially secondary, they give up big plays. They give up a lot of yards. And that's it's not great. Because if your offense isn't there, just like they lost to Denver last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Their offense was crap.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a shocker.
So, yeah, I mean, if your offense isn't there within the first quarter, you're probably falling behind pretty quick.
Yeah.
You got to play catch up.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest formula to win football games.
So we got Bills at 1. Bills at 1, Chiefs at 2. I'm good with that, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
Lions at 3. I think I agree. I think the Vikings should be probably 3. And then the Lions. And so where would you put the Steelers then? Are they a top 10 team? I mean, the record says they are.
Oh, I would say as of right now, yes. They're definitely deserving of anything in the top 10. Now, 4, probably not.
Yeah.
I would definitely the more I think about it, I'd probably put Vikings at 3.
Yeah.
The Steelers 4, Lions 5. And then I would probably keep the pecking order the same to fill out all the way down to 10.
Okay. And then Texas and Saints.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. 1, 2.
Actually, I'd probably pop the Saints out, throw the Jets at 10, and then do probably Jets 10, Saints 11, Niners 12.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of that fills in pretty fair.
So then the next 10 are on their list is Niners, Jets, Falcons, Ravens, Commanders, Seahawks. Your Seahawks. They're not getting any love, and they're 3-0.
Oh, yeah.
Cardinals at 1 and 2, Rams and Chargers, and then the Colts. So you would flip and you would have who at 11 again? The Jets?
So Jets 10, Saints 11,
Okay.
Niners 12.
Okay. And then, all right. Then you'd have
oh gosh, I look at the Commanders and the Seahawks, and they're getting nothing.
they're getting nothing.
I mean, we just saw the Commanders look really good against Cincinnati.
6th rated offense, and the Seahawks have the 8th rated off. Now their defenses are not good, but
Yeah,
good
Seattle's
offense.
got a great front four, but everything else is just meh.
Yeah.
And that's Washington's big downfall is that their defense is just bad.
So
It's
then,
the only way to really put it. It's just bad.
so then you would have the Falcons are now at 11, 12, 13. Falcons are at 13. Are you good with that? They're
I'd almost
negative.
flip-flop the Ravens and Falcons.
Okay.
I know the Ravens are only, 1-2?
Yeah, well, Falcons are 1 and 2, yeah.
Yeah, but the Ravens also just embarrassed my boys.
Yeah.
Almost gave up a comeback, but they embarrassed us.
So how do you explain the Ravens at 1 and 2, number 1 rated offense and number 5 rated defense? And they've given up more points than they've scored.
It's that defense. Because their offense is there. It is obviously a number 1 offense. It's just that secondary just screws them, which is sad. Because if they had even a mediocre defense, they are easily 2-1 or undefeated. 2-1 probably because I think they would have lost to the Chiefs regardless.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would have them probably in the top 10.
Do you think
with just a mediocre defense?
Yeah. Do you think that the Ravens almost losing to the Cowboys was really embarrassing and it was a very bad look for them?
Yeah, because it keeps going to the fact that this defensive coordinator change isn't working.
Right.
You're still giving up 20-something plus points a game. You gave up a comeback victory to the Raiders.
Yeah. And
Dak
lost.
was on the verge of winning a massive comeback game against you last week.
Yep.
That's terrible. I mean, you can explain giving up some points to the defending Super Bowl champions. That's expected.
Yeah.
But the Raiders comeback victory with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And then Dallas, I mean, you could maybe argue it, but you're also up 20-something plus.
20, yeah. Yeah.
And just damn near poo-poo down the back of your leg.
Yeah.
That's not good. Something's got to give. If you're Harbaugh, something's got to give.
Yeah, maybe your job. But there's still, anyway, we'll see. So Seahawks, so Commanders and then Seahawks. You say you would flip them? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably give Seahawks the benefit of the doubt there. Commanders are definitely creeping. But I think undefeated Seahawks offense is looking good even without Kenneth Walker. Jackson Smith-Njigba is obviously coming into that possible wide receiver 2 spot at any point.
Yeah.
Him and Lockett kind of flip-flop.
Yeah, but their defense is 31. That's not good.
Yeah, the secondary's rough. Now, they have a good pass rush, but that's it. I mean, you just aerate it out. I mean, they're going to give up some mad points.
So, okay, Cardinals at, 16 or 17? Cardinals at 1 and 2. What do you think about that one?
I like where the Cardinals, Rams, Chargers are. I don't hate that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm good with that. And honestly, I mean, you look at everything after the Colts, it's hard to argue anybody above them.
Yeah, yeah, below the Colts, and you're just talking trash.
I almost thought the Bengals, and I was like, oh, yeah, they don't have a win. That's not good.
Yeah, they're very lopsided on their points.
Everybody on the way down. It's just, it's bad.
Yeah. So do you want to even, you want to just stop there because everybody else is just.
Might as well just bring up the last 10 and then just give them a little bit of love.
All right. So we got the Broncos, Bengals, Cowboys, Giants. Are the Cowboys still beating the Giants right now?
We're up by 5 going into the fourth. But the Giants are driving, so we're gonna figure this out real quick.
All right. So Cowboys, Giants, Browns, Dolphins. Man, the Dolphins after they lost they're doomed.
They're in a world of hurt.
Yeah, it's like
it's not great.
Their offense has scored 33 points and they've given up 72.
And they're probably gonna give up a lot more this coming week. So we're gonna see about that.
And then the Bears, Patriots, Panthers, Raiders, Titans, and then Jags.
I put the Titans last and put
Below
the
the
Jags at 31.
Below the Jags?
Yes.
How?
Will
Why?
Levis is a turnover machine.
Yeah.
Just a turnover machine. At least the Jags have decent talent
Oh,
on
really?
paper.
Okay.
Doesn't show for anything.
Doesn't show for
but,
anything.
Yeah. I know it doesn't mean much, but Robert, you guys are 31. You're welcome.
Boy, that's a mercy ranking right there.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, God. Okay, so your Raiders third to the bottom. That you're okay with that? 58.
Yeah, that's fine. And then if Andy Dalton's running the Panthers, that team looks a little bit better.
Wow.
Just looks a little bit better.
They have given up 95 points. The Panthers. Ooh.
And a lot of it's on the ground. They
Yeah.
can't stop the run for crap.
In fact, that is the highest points against in the entire league right now.
Yeah, It's bad. It's bad.
And Patriots and nothing to talk about there. Bears.
The Bears are interesting just because
Yeah.
they've got talent on both sides of the football. Secondary is pretty solid. Caleb Williams as a rookie hasn't looked awful.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that offensive line is so bad.
Yeah.
So he's running for his life, similar to what Justin Fields was doing in his time,
Yeah.
and it hasn't been fixed.
And the Browns have probably the worst. I don't know who has the worst offensive line, in the Browns or the Bears.
Flip a coin.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's all just not great.
God, I was listening to some sports talk the other night, and they're just crying about the Browns' offensive line, and they're just junk.
Yeah, again, if you have a mediocre offensive line, you would be okay. You'd actually be able to run the football.
Yeah.
And Deshaun wouldn't be running for his life or just getting killed.
Yeah.
As much as I am not a Deshaun fan whatsoever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But in the matter of just winning football games, there's no shot in hell you're winning a football game with an offensive line that bad.
Yeah. They have 31 rated offense and the second rated defense.
Yeah, that's
Ooh.
if that doesn't tell you something, it's
That's
not
all
great.
you need to know.
Not great.
Anything else stand out on this whole list of if we didn't have this list and I said who's the best power ranking team in the NFL, who would you have said right off the top of your head?
I would have said Bills.
Really? Okay.
Solely off seeing what they did Monday, just kind of cemented that fact. I was like, okay, this team's for real. Like Josh Allen's playing out of his mind. James Cook's running the hell out of the ball. And their defense, I didn't expect their defense, with losing the guys that they've lost,
Mm-hmm.
would still play well. Now we'll see when we get into like the juicy part of their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if that stands. But if you're going off of right now, there's not a team, unless you want to argue the Vikings, that's as hot as the Bills.
Yeah. So what about the Chiefs, though? I mean, statistically, they're 75 and 62. That's not overly impressive as far as points.
Yeah, I mean, their defense is still playing, relatively decent, which is okay.
Ranked third in the league, yeah. But 14th in the offense?
Yeah, and the offense is just outside of Rice and outside of Pacheco prior to him getting hurt, the offense was doing pretty decent. Then Pacheco goes down, so now your run game's kind of up in the air with who's going to run that backfield.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if signing Kareem Hunt's going to do anything for him.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Steele's not a terrible fill-in. But yeah, the Travis Kelce has just kind of disappeared in this offense.
Well, he's not even getting balls thrown to him, is he?
No, barely anything. Maybe a couple catches.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's going to change, especially with the run game being a very big unknown until Pacheco comes back.
Yeah.
But yeah, offense has been a little slower than what we're used to. Now, we said that last year, and look what they did.
All they've got to do
So,
is get into the playoffs, and then they're fine, right?
yep. But yeah, like going back to the Bills, this is a big part of their schedule here. So you got Ravens away at the Texans,
Mm-hmm.
away at the Jets.
Ooh.
Those are 3 big games.
Yeah, this will tell a lot.
Yep. Then you go Titans, Seahawks, Dolphins. Should win those. But yeah, the next 3 weeks we'll see if the Bills are for real. I think that's going to be a massive test for them, and especially for Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm. What about your favorite team, the Eagles? They're 2-1, 70 points for and 63 against. Great rated offense, less than average defense.
They're very lucky to have Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're very, very lucky.
Yeah.
Because Jalen Hurts has been a turnover machine.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown has been ouchie. Devontae Smith, ouchie as of last week with a concussion. Obviously, Dallas Goedert is currently right now the number 1 ranked tight end.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Jalen Hurts hasn't gotten off to the quickest start.
No.
It's definitely been some turnover football. But yeah, they have this just massive human being in Saquon Barkley that has been able to carry this offense with A.J. Brown being out. And obviously their wide receiver health has been kind of depleted here in the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So lean on him has been a godsend for them.
Mm-hmm.
Defense, secondary-wise, has just been atrocious. Even with their drafts the last couple of years, you would think, okay, like this defense should be a lot better than what it has been.
Mm-hmm.
But the secondary has just been getting torched. So that's got to change if they want to have any sort of shot at a postseason or even one in the East. So that, and obviously Hurts needs to stop turning the ball over.
Yeah.
And they need some health to go in their favor. But they've got all the talent on paper to make a massive run in the NFC. And it's definitely, obviously hasn't gone their way so far. But so we'll see once everything kind of gets to full strength for them if that changes.
So here's a question. On the top 10, the way it is now, in the next 3 weeks, who would you anticipate dropping out of the top 10 and who would go in?
See, dropping out of the top 10. It's a good one. I like all of them. I would say if I had to think of a team, I would probably say the Steelers in 3 weeks. Just because everyone else, I don't see. Cause I'm assuming Jordan Love's coming back here soon, so that's going to help the Packers a lot. Sam Darnold's knee looks to be okay, so they're probably not going to drop anywhere.
Right.
Bucks, Texans. Maybe the Saints, depending if Kamara is actually like ouchie.
They're scoring a lot of points, though.
Yeah, but they are putting up a stupid amount of points.
Yeah.
Texans will be fine. Bucks are going to be fine.
Right. I'd say I would go with the Bucks. Buccaneers would drop. And I would put in the Jets or your guys, the Seahawks. Seahawks 3-0, man. That's impressive.
Yeah, and they're putting up good points.
Yeah,
good points.
So I would say either Jets or Seahawks go in and then the Bucks fall out. Am I crazy?
I'd almost sprinkle in the Ravens at some point in the next 3 weeks. I think they're finally comfortable with giving Derrick Henry size workloads.
Yeah.
Initially, it was like 10 or 12 touches. You're like, this is crap.
Yeah, he needs 20 plus.
Yeah, you need to feed this man. And they've started to, and look what happens.
Yeah.
Points are being produced. That's great. But yeah, I would say if anybody's to fall, I would say Steelers and the Ravens squeak into the top 10 somewhere.
Okay. Over the Jets or the Cards or the Seahawks?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be close for all three of them. But
okay. All right.
yeah, I don't hate either option. I would just I liked what I saw from the Ravens as much as I hated seeing it. I think everyone knew that this offense was going to be dangerous once it started to get up to speed. Once Derrick Henry started to feel comfortable, and then Lamar's just being Lamar.
Okay. All right. Let's talk Pittsburgh quarterback situation here. Fields is looking pretty good. He's undefeated. Does he get bumped back to the bench when Wilson is healthy?
No.
Why not?
If the offense is playing the way that it's going, or the way that they're playing is anything, I don't think you mess with that synergy amongst the team.
All right. Now, I mentioned to you earlier that I can't think of that quarterback's name, but he was the backup for Big Ben. And Big Ben was hurt. I think it was the start of the season, and the quarterback went 4-0, looked good. And as soon as Big Ben was healthy, the other guy was on the bench. And it's the same coach. Now, as I also said to you, Big Ben is not, the other guy. He was Ben Roethlisberger. So is it just a case of we're sticking with Big Ben and
Yeah, and I think that is a future Hall of Fame quarterback. This has been your team's quarterback forever.
Super Bowl winner, yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't playing poorly pre-injury.
No, not at all.
And I think with the Fields issue, it's who would have thought they would have started undefeated, first off.
Yeah.
Second, who's the quarterback of this team during this streak? Obviously, it's Justin.
Right.
And how's the offense look right now? And each week they have gotten better.
Yeah.
Justin has also gotten better.
And it seems like they love him. The team, the players love Justin Fields. So.
And you have a dual threat, especially with Najee Harris in your backfield, and you have a threat of a rushing quarterback or a scrambling quarterback. That just benefits your running game as a whole. Whether it benefits Najee, obviously, but the offense is set up for kind of these dump-off passes, these short to intermediate passes, and then the occasional, Pickens deep ball, which we got to see. I think it was week 1 or week 2, where a couple of those connected.
Right.
And that's not pretty football by any means, but it's
wins.
It's time of possession. It's game management. It's very low turnover rate.
Yeah.
That's been Steelers football forever.
Yeah.
And you can't complain with the outcome. So, and if it's working, I mean, it's as cliche as it sounds. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Well,
I don't care who Russell Wilson is.
Right. I agree with you, and I hope you're right.
I do too, because I think it's this spot for Justin is awesome, because he has no threat of losing his job because Russell's been hurt. And look what's happened.
Right.
He's playing freely. He's playing smart. I mean, he's not going to have any glaring numbers, which you don't need them.
Right.
I mean, the only quarterback that's ever had glaring numbers for Pittsburgh in the recent years was obviously Big Ben.
Right.
But Big Ben's also going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Right. He's a one-off.
So that is a massive outlier.
And I'd also say that Fields is the future and Wilson is a stopgap.
Yep, he is damn near, if not already at the end of his career. Justin's got a lot of time ahead of him. Right. And if Tomlin wants to keep coaching there for a longer period of time, or unless he's, kind of on the short list, or if he's short timing it, then stick with Justin. If you're going to be there for the long haul, Justin's your best bet until something happens to where he shows the program that he's not, which I don't really see. I mean, the first 3 weeks we've seen obviously pretty solid football play. Yeah. I don't see that changing anytime soon.
So what happens to Tomlin if they make the playoffs and they go no further than the first wild card game and they're out? That's
a huge win for them, I think. I think just making the playoffs is massive.
Well, they make the playoffs every year.
Yeah,
but then they haven't advanced. So yeah, people are like, we need to advance into the playoffs and rather than just make the playoffs.
I don't think with this program you could sit there Now, as a fan, you can be mad all you want, and that's fair. You're
Sure.
a fan. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, you can't tell me anybody as an NFL fan would have been like, yeah, Pittsburgh's making the playoffs with this roster. There's no shot. No, I mean, I know we didn't. We thought they would be competitive in the comp or in the division.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not anywhere close to playoffs.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that would be a massive win. And if they're above 500, shoot. Like, that's huge. And that just gives Fields a better outlook on his future there if they want to keep him.
Mm-hmm.
You might get a decent deal. You might get a 2 or 3 year contract, which
Right.
is what he's playing for right now. He's playing for a contract.
Mm-hmm. What if
So
they
yeah,
don't?
it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Now, what if they don't make the playoffs?
I don't think you can really fault anybody.
Even the
This is
coach?
kind of I mean, you could fault Tomlin, which at the end of the day, that's who's going to get blamed for anything anyways.
Right.
But again, in the grand scheme of things, he did what he had, or he did whatever he had to do with what he had,
Mm-hmm.
which wasn't a ton. You had a 40-year-old quarterback, and then you have a quarterback that's coming from a crap franchise and plugging him in rather quickly and kind of seeing what's happening, which so far for them has been pretty decent.
Yeah. So you think Tomlin's going to hold his job no matter what?
I think so.
Okay.
He's got a pretty solid rap sheet.
Yeah, and the Steelers don't fire people like that too fast.
No, and he's done fine. He's
Yeah.
done fine with what he's had. Obviously, the Kenny Pickett experiment was crap, but look at what he did when Pickett went down. They made the playoffs.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep. All right. Anything else before we say goodbye for this one?
Let's just hope Dallas pulls this off in the last 6 minutes so that they don't want me real upset.
Okay, we'll hold our breath. And
Me too.
be sure to check us out on X, Twitter, and hey, if you like what we do, hit the like button and subscribe if you feel like it. Also, comment. We like to hear from everybody, and we can get some more feedback for what we do. And that's always, from my perspective, feedback is a good thing. All right. See you, buddy. Bye.